Welcome everybody. We're delighted to have you here for our webinar called Banding Together, Creating the Caribbean Bird Banding Network, Part 2. In this live webinar, CBB Network members will share their perspectives on the training and certifications they have received. Also how they've been able to use these skills and tools to improve their biological understanding of birds on their islands. So in today's webinar, please, as the webinars are happening, feel free to ask any questions that you want in the Q&A panel at the bottom of your screen. You can also ask questions in the chat, but it's kind of easier to find it in the Q&A, so please use that if you can. Also, please note that this webinar has closed caption translation from both English to Spanish and then Spanish to English, because a couple of our presenters will be speaking in Spanish. So be sure to turn that on at the bottom under your more menu, or there should be a captions menu where you can choose to show those. So do turn those on. So today we're really happy and excited to welcome our panelists. We have Maya Wilson, who's our Caribbean Land Bird Monitoring Program Manager. We have Holly Garrett, who's our Caribbean Bird Banding Network Program Manager. And then we have our 4 panelists and speakers today. We have Dayamiris Candelario from Puerto Rico, Hector Andujar from the Dominican Republic, Zoya Buckmire from Grenada, and Daniela Ventura joining us from Cuba, which is incredible. So you're in for a treat today with 4 really exciting short presentations by each of our speakers that are going to tell you about their experiences with the Caribbean Bird Banding Network and what they're doing in their own countries. To kick us off, Holly's going to give us a very short introduction to the Caribbean Bird Banding Network, a quick recap from our first webinar, part 1 last week, and then get us going with our speakers. So welcome everybody and take it away, Holly.
All right. Thanks so much, Lisa. Can everyone, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to give a quick introduction. It's just going to be a quick summary of some of the things we covered 2 weeks ago in our first webinar. So first, what is bird banding? So bird banding is a monitoring technique used where we catch the birds and we place a unique numbered metal band on the bird. And usually these bands also have a stamp that that signifies where the bird was banded and how to report this band. And there are other ways of marking birds as well, of course, but with bird banding, this is kind of a way to identify individual birds within a population. And it's a technique that's been used for all sorts of birds, but for the purpose of birds, and especially songbirds in particular. And so when we have a bird in the hand, after we've banded the bird, there's quite a bit that we can learn from these birds. We can see the amount of fat these birds have. We can see if these birds are molting. We can look at demography by aging the birds and mixing the birds. So seeing if we have younger birds in the population or a lot of older birds. We can look at longevity. So with birds, a lot of times we're only able to tell if birds are younger in their first year or if they're adults. Apologies for a bit of the background noise here, but we are able with a banded bird, we can actually get some more specific data on how long these birds live exactly. So if they live 5 years or 10 years, we can understand more about phenology. So we can understand a bit more about when these birds are breeding, especially our tropical resident birds. We can understand more about migration, dispersal, and movements, especially as we start to create more bird banding stations throughout the Caribbean. And then we can understand by doing some more specific studies, we can look at social structure with color banding and identifying individuals without having to recapture them, and looking at diseases and parasites as well, and especially with avian flu that's been in the news. We can really how these birds are doing when we have this. It's more than just putting a bird or putting a band on the bird. And so with bird banding, we have created within the Caribbean Bird Banding Network. It's a network focused on expanding and uniting bird banding within the Caribbean. And so hoping to expand to other bird groups in the future. And just to cover real quick what the Caribbean Bird Banding Network entails, is we aim to provide training in ethical bird banding techniques. And so with our trainings, this includes tips, this includes training opportunities within the country. And then we are also aiming to provide resources. So these resources include things like data sheets, things like a bird banding database, and of course, bird bands and bird banding supplies. And most of all, we're fostering a community of Caribbean banders that help learn from and support each other, and hopefully also can do some Caribbean banding interchange where we can visit each other's banding stations as we continue to grow this network. And so this year for Global Big Day, we are raising funds for the Caribbean Bird Banding Network. So please join us. We have multiple teams up now, so please join a team or feel free to start your own. Donate, encourage your friends and family to join and donate, and then come bird with us on May 13th. So make sure you go outside, go birding, and submit an eBird checklist. So how to join us? You can use the link bit.ly BCGBD-23, and then from here you can set up your team, set a fundraising goal, and if you need any help with this, let us know. And what's going to be really cool is in these presentations from our other panelists, you're going to kind of hear where this funding is going to go towards similar projects and funding similar people, similar bird banders. So yes, please join us for Global Big Day. We're very excited. And with that, I will take it away to the next panelist.
Thanks, Holly. All right. So I have the pleasure of introducing all of our speakers today. So we're actually going to start with Dayamiris Candelario. So Dayamiris is an environmental manager who currently works as an environmental educator for Centro Ambiental Santa Ana, a nature center located in an urban forest on the island of Puerto Rico, and as a coordinator for the Blue Flag program for Organización Pro Ambiente Sustentable. And she is also a certified interpretive guide for the National Association for Interpretation, and uses these skills to provide meaningful experiences in nature to Puerto Rican children. Her experience involves environmental education initiatives, many focused on endemic and migratory birds, and outdoor informal settings, community projects, and research on air pollution and karst ecosystems. So Dayami, take it away.
Thank you, Maya, and thank you, Birds Caribbean, for inviting me to share my novice experience as a bird bander. I'm very honored to be here with you and my colleagues, my Caribbean colleagues. But I will switch to Spanish, my native language. Hola a todos, espero que estén muy bien. Y hoy quiero compartirles mi experiencia como una nueva miembro de la red de anilladores de aves dirigida por Birds Caribbean. Déjame ver hacia el frente. Sí, yo vengo de la isla de Puerto Rico, para las personas que saben, que han escuchado muy poco de nuestra isla. Nuestra isla, al igual que las islas del Caribe, están ubicadas entre los dos continentes, América del Norte y América del Sur. Y dentro de esos dos continentes hay un mar que se llama el Mar Caribeño, y nosotros somos la isla más pequeña de las Antillas Mayores, así que estamos al oeste de la isla La Española. Actualmente somos territorio de los Estados Unidos de América, tenemos 3.2 millones de habitantes y nuestro idioma materno, ¿verdad? Nuestro idioma nativo es español, el mismo idioma que estoy usando para esta presentación. Así luce nuestra isla. Como verán en los puntos rojos indican las áreas más urbanas, así que tenemos áreas montañosas, pero las que están ubicadas en el centro de la isla, pero también a lo largo de la costa, cercano a los puntos rojos, vamos a ver estas áreas costeras en donde la mayor parte de las personas y la mayor parte de las áreas urbanas se ubican. Puerto Rico es pequeño, al igual que muchas islas del Caribe, pero precisamente el hecho de que sea pequeño nos brinda la oportunidad de tener ecosistemas especializados, y como resultado de esos ecosistemas tenemos un alto endemismo que compartimos con muchas de las islas del Caribe. También quiero hablarles del trabajo que yo hago aquí en Puerto Rico. Yo soy educadora ambiental del Centro Ambiental Santa Ana, que es un centro de naturaleza que está ubicado en un área natural protegida en Puerto Rico, llamado el Parque Nacional Geológico Monagas. Nosotros estamos establecidos desde el 2006 y nuestro centro de naturaleza trabaja a través de una colaboración, en principio con la Sociedad de Historia Natural, una organización ambiental local sin fines de lucro, pero también la Universidad Metropolitana, específicamente el recinto metropolitano, quien actualmente desde el 2021 opera nuestro centro, y también lo hacemos en colaboración con el Departamento de Recursos Naturales, específicamente el programa de parques nacionales. Nuestra misión es inspirar aprecio y respeto por la naturaleza a través de distintas actividades que están enmarcadas dentro de lo que es la educación ambiental, la interpretación como herramienta de comunicación validada, investigación en las veredas de nuestro bosque. Esto es, ¿verdad?, un aperitivo de lo que nosotros hacemos de nuestra programación anual. Básicamente estamos todo el tiempo en la vereda afuera, sudada, atendiendo niños, adultos, todo tipo de público, todos que son residentes del área metropolitana más grande, el área urbana, debo decir, más grande de Puerto Rico, que es el área metropolitana de San Juan. Y básicamente ofrecemos actividades fuera, como les mencioné, como por ejemplo recorridos de observación de aves. También celebramos las aves endémicas y las migratorias a través de la celebración de festivales. Ofrecemos talleres para educadores durante el verano y también nos envolvemos en proyectos especiales. Así que estamos muy ocupados todo el año tratando de que los niños, ¿verdad?, la niñez local, pueda conocer, tenga oportunidades para conocer la naturaleza local. Nosotros, el lugar donde estamos ubicados, nuestro parque está ubicado en esta área que está sombreada de color coral. Este es el pueblo de Bayamón. Esto es un área en la parte más norte de Bayamón, principalmente urbana. Pero no se engañe, dentro de esa masa urbana encontramos este parche. En esta imagen satelital les estoy enseñando el Parque Nacional Geológico Monagas desde arriba. Y es un área que comprende cerca de 200 acres, que fue utilizado en el pasado como una hacienda agrícola, la hacienda Santa Ana, y también fue parte del área de entrenamiento militar del fuerte militar de Buchanan. Desde 1993 es lo que es hoy un parque nacional, un lugar recreativo, con propósitos recreativos y también para que sea refugio de la vida silvestre en el área metropolitana. En términos de qué encontramos allí de la avifauna, hemos documentado a través de más de 600 listados a la plataforma de ciencia ciudadana de eBird, que tenemos un 60% de las especies de aves que son endémicas para Puerto Rico. En la vida silvestre, ¿verdad?, incluyendo otros grupos taxonómicos, tenemos al menos 3 especies que son consideradas como vulnerables y en peligro de extinción por los gobiernos de Estados Unidos y de Puerto Rico. Asimismo, tenemos también 33 especies que son consideradas como elementos de interés de conservación para el gobierno de Puerto Rico, y esto es porque no se conoce el estatus poblacional de estas especies. Y gran parte de ellas, o muchas de ellas, son aves nativas que compartimos con muchas áreas. Asimismo, hemos comentado de que tenemos cerca de 22 especies aproximadamente que utilizan nuestro bosque, un bosque relativamente pequeño, metido en el medio de la ciudad, como su área de invernada. Ahora les quiero contar un poco de por qué yo estoy aquí, ¿verdad? Ya les conté que yo soy de Puerto Rico, donde trabajo, pero ¿qué fue lo que yo fui a hacer en este lugar, en el Willistown Conservation Trust? Esta es una invitación de este fideicomiso, el cual fue invitada con mi esposo Omar Monzón. Tuve la oportunidad de tener mi primera experiencia del mundo, ¿verdad? En el anillaje de aves. A través de la estación de anillaje de ellos, en el Rushtown Woods Banding Station, tuve la oportunidad de estar durante un mes aprendiendo las diferentes especies que son habituales para ellos durante la migración del otoño. Especies como el house wren, el blue jay, el gray chick thrush, entre otras especies. Asimismo, era la primera vez que yo manejaba un ave, así que me enseñaron cómo hacer los diferentes tipos de agarre de las aves para poderlas anillar de forma segura para ellas. También a través de esta organización tuvimos la oportunidad de participar en 3 instalaciones de antenas de radio que están diseñadas para documentar el movimiento de aves migratorias a lo largo del noreste de Estados Unidos. Estuvimos en el estado de Vermont, de New York y de Pensilvania, acompañando al equipo de trabajo a través de estas instalaciones. Esto nos ayuda a entender que esta infraestructura, ¿verdad? Un montón de cables, un montón de piezas de metal, aportan muchísimo más de lo que estamos acostumbrados a observar y esto ayuda entonces a los ornitólogos y a los investigadores para poder entonces conocer cuáles son los patrones de movimiento de estas especies que a nosotros nos encanta tanto. Eso fue el año pasado. Ahora durante este año estuve practicando mis destrezas de novata de anillaje de aves en la Hacienda La Esperanza a través de las actividades que desarrollaron en conjunto con BirdsCaribbean. Primero para hacer una demostración del anillaje de las aves, así que me tocó asistir a Holly, cosa que fue que me sentí súper honrada, para también ayudarlos en sus esfuerzos de investigación para instalar detectores de movimiento o tagging devices, debo decir, en la renita galana o la prairie warbler, y fue muy entretenido intentar capturar 10 individuos de esta especie para instalarle el tagging. También tuve la oportunidad de ver por primera vez de cerca especies con las que yo, ¿verdad? Están en mi patio, están en el bosque todo el día y las he trabajado, pero verlas de cerca es otra experiencia. Especies como el pitirre, el zorzal de patas coloradas y el que nunca se me olvida en Puerto Rico, el judío, el garrapatero, que es una especie que tiene un olor bien raro cuando lo tienes de cerca. Asimismo, tuve la oportunidad de estar presente junto con mis colegas en el entrenamiento anual que hace BirdsCaribbean en conjunto con el Grupo Jaragua y el Corredor Biológico del Caribe. Y ahí me tocó la oportunidad de aprender de las especies que son endémicas y que son comunes en la isla española, específicamente en la República Dominicana. También ver especies que son nativas, que compartimos entre nosotros, ¿verdad? Entre las islas del Caribe, pero ver sus diferencias. Pero yo creo que lo más que me llevo de esa experiencia en particular es poder compartir con muchos caribeños que tienen todos sus proyectos de conservación de distintas magnitudes, a distintas escalas, y compartir sus experiencias, compartir sus áreas de conocimiento, cuáles son las lecciones aprendidas. Y yo creo que ha sido muy importante también porque BirdsCaribbean, yo puedo atestiguar que ha creado, que ha estado construyendo la comunidad que ellos quieren construir a través de la red de anillaje. Ahora, ¿qué es lo que yo quiero hacer con este entrenamiento que he tenido el privilegio de participar? Bueno, hay muchas cosas, pero primeramente me gustaría entonces poder establecer una estación de anillaje en el Centro Ambiental Santa Ana en conjunto con un programa de monitoreo de aves terrestres. Para eso hay ciertas tareas en las que estoy haciendo ahora mismo, as we speak, y es identificar el financiamiento, reclutar colaboradores, que aquí hay tengo 3 organizaciones ya, 2 de ellas están representadas durante este webinar. Preparar y someter una propuesta que sea irresistible para las agencias que otorgan los fondos. simultáneamente mientras continúo el entrenamiento para desarrollar cualificaciones. En el futuro, ¿verdad? Convertirme en una anilladora certificada por el NADC. ¿Cómo nosotros entendemos que aprender estas destrezas del anillaje de aves va a poder contribuir en el impacto de las actividades del Centro Ambiental Santa Ana? Bueno, nosotros siempre hemos sido muy vocales promoviendo el acceso a la naturaleza de nuestros niños locales. Hemos encontrado que cada vez más, esto es una tendencia mundial, nuestros niños y las personas en general están cada vez más desconectadas con la naturaleza. Así que esto nos ofrece una oportunidad de acercarla. Nos gustaría convertirnos en un centro de entrenamiento para personas locales y personas que vienen a visitarnos, que quieran aprender acerca de las especies neotropicales y también de los ecosistemas tropicales. Nos gustaría continuar el esfuerzo de promover las carreras en ciencia, que son muy necesarias para las niñas puertorriqueñas y para los jóvenes, pero asimismo nos gustaría contribuir a nuestro programa de investigación a través de aumentar el conocimiento que se tiene en Puerto Rico de la aportación o del aporte de los ecosistemas urbanos a nuestras aves. Asimismo, actualizar la información de las poblaciones que son residentes, saber el estatus de, por ejemplo, el carpintero de Puerto Rico, el zorzal de patas coloradas, la renita común en nuestro bosque, entre otros. Y yo creo que más importante es destacar el valor de nuestra área natural en el área urbana, específicamente por los beneficios en la sensación de bienestar que promueve para nuestros visitantes. Así que aquí les he detallado de manera breve y corriendo un poco de mi experiencia, y como les mencioné anteriormente, puedo atestiguar de que BirdsCaribbean, a través del desarrollo de esta red de anilladores de aves, está trayendo recursos, está trayendo oportunidades de entrenamiento de las cuales yo nunca hubiera podido participar, y mucho más importante, construyendo comunidad a través de estas oportunidades en donde distintos colegas, distintos expertos que hablan distintos idiomas, tienen distintas culturas, pueden unirse por las aves. Así que, se me olvidó esta. ¿Verdad? Unirme a la invitación de Lisa y de Holly para invitarlos este 13 de mayo al Global Big Day. El equipo liderado por Alondra Norat y apoyado por Daniela Ventura de Cuba, así que Cuba y Puerto Rico están juntos. Warbling Warriors o las rinitas guerreras. Queremos que te unas a nuestro equipo básicamente para que nos ayudes entonces a amplificar los esfuerzos de esta red de anilladores de aves. Gracias por su atención.
Thank you, Dani. That was great. So awesome to hear about all of that. I don't see any questions for Dani right now in the Q&A or on Facebook. If you have any questions, feel free to add them in the meantime, and we will try to take questions from all the speakers at the end. So we're going to move on to the second speaker now, Hector Andujar. Hector has been working with Grupo Jaragua since 1995. He started working out as a volunteer in the Jaragua National Park, and he was awarded a National Merit Award in 1996. In 2000, he became part of the technical team of Grupo Jaragua, and he's worked on many different conservation, education, and scientific projects in the Jaragua, Bajoruco, and Requillo Biosphere Reserve, and has even had 2 species named for him. His current work is focused on the restoration of the dry forest in the reserve. So Hector, please take it away.
One moment, please. Buenas tardes. Yo soy Héctor Andújar. Soy del Grupo Jaragua y estoy en el Grupo Jaragua desde el 5 de junio de 1995. Ese ha sido mi único trabajo que he tenido en toda mi vida. No he estado en otro sitio y he estado trabajando por la conservación de los recursos naturales durante toda mi vida. He trabajado en diferentes tipos de proyectos de conservación, educación y algunos científicos. En la actualidad, estoy trabajando con restauración de bosque seco en la región de Enriquillo, específicamente en la olla de Enriquillo. Estoy trabajando junto de Grupo Jaragua, que es mi organización donde yo trabajo, y estamos trabajando con la comunidad. Estamos restaurando un hábitat crítica, está bien amenazada para la conservación de una especie endémica, que es la iguana ciclura ricordi. Trabajamos junto a la comunidad en restauración, estamos trabajando en escuela, dando educación ambiental, y también estamos trabajando o haciendo restauración de una mina en la comunidad de Salinas. Todo eso es con bosque seco y lo estamos haciendo con plantas que son autóctonas de la zona, específicamente plantas que sirven para la alimentación de esas especies, ya que sus bosques han sido cortados para el carbón vegetal o lo han quemado para hacer algún tipo de agricultura no sostenible. ¿Cómo yo llego a Grupo Jaragua? En el 1995, el Grupo Jaragua llegó a la comunidad, bueno, ya estaba en la comunidad de Oviedo, en el Parque Nacional Jaragua, y yo veía esa gente que pasaba y preguntaba, ¿qué es lo que están haciendo? Y bueno, fui preguntando junto a un amigo, fui a una reunión y me interesó lo que estaban haciendo. Y no sé si para bien o para mal, pero hasta ahora estamos aquí, apoyando la comunidad, apoyando la ciencia y apoyando todo lo que sea desarrollo sostenible. ¿Cómo llego yo a interesarme por las aves? Para 1998, 99 hasta los años 2000, la Fundación Moscoso Puello estaba haciendo una serie de proyectos, estaba implementando una serie de proyectos de monitoreo y anillamiento de aves en diferentes puntos de la República Dominicana. Y yo como joven al fin, fui a algunos de los entrenamientos que dieron y estuvimos haciendo algunos monitoreos con transectos, estuvimos anillando algunas aves y más adelante me sumé a algunos me sumé al proyecto que tenía Chris Rimmer junto con otros colaboradores y, y fui a varios entrenamientos en la Sierra de Bauruco a trabajar con algunas de las aves endémicas. A partir de ahí, vinieron otros proyectos en la Laguna de Oviedo con aves acuáticas y empecé a interesarme por las aves. Pero luego hubo como un vacío hasta, yo diría que 6 o 7 años, 8, tal vez 8 años, en los que no tenía como mucho trabajo de aves. Estaba trabajando con los campamentos de verano, estaba trabajando con proyectos de educaciones ambientales. Y ya para el 2015, 2014, entonces, de nuevo, viene BirdsCaribbean con unos entrenamientos para birdwatching. Y ahí vuelvo de nuevo a interesarme por las aves. Y aquí estamos. Quiero mencionar mi entrenamiento o hablar un poco de mi entrenamiento, tanto en Long Point, Canadá, como en Jarabacón, República Dominicana. El año pasado fui invitado para una pasantía, un entrenamiento de un mes en Long Point, en Canadá. para anillar aves, conocer las aves y tener más información de las aves que migran hacia el Caribe. Es un entrenamiento bien fuerte, es intenso. La gente que va ahí debe tener un conocimiento básico de las aves, de anillar y de conocer las mudas, los límites y todo eso, porque ellos no tienen mucho tiempo para explicarle a la gente. Pero si uno se pone, uno puede conseguir eh, aprender en el proceso. Al principio fue un poco dificultoso para mí porque no tenía mucha práctica, pero luego fui cogiendo el time, como dicen, y me fue muy bien al final. Pude anillar muchísimas aves y, y conocer aves que no vienen al Caribe, que para verla hay que ir a Norteamérica. Y eso es muy importante para nosotros, la gente del Caribe, que estamos trabajando con aves. En ese entrenamiento es bien, hay muchas oportunidades, pero también hay dificultades. Sobre todo la gente que se van a TIP, al sitio en el lago Eric, que no tiene no tiene comunicación, no tiene eh, servicios sanitarios, no tiene agua potable, todo hay que llevarlo y hay que estar ahí como aislado, como que uno está sobreviviendo en una isla. Pero se puede aprender mucho si uno va y dedica todo el tiempo necesario, si uno pone el esfuerzo, se aprende. Eh, en ese entrenamiento pude ampliar conocimiento sobre las mudas de las aves, sobre los límites de mudas, la grasa, el cráneo para conocer las edades, para conocer el sexo de las aves y practicando, y eso es lo que más me falta a mí aún todavía, seguir practicando para poder tener una estación en República Dominicana. Eh, Ahí están algunas de las aves que no se pueden ver en el Caribe, que para verla hay que ir básicamente a Norteamérica. Ahí estoy yo en uno de los laboratorios donde estaba anillando, que al final pude anillar mucho porque ya conocí todas las reglas de cómo hacerlo. Al principio fue un poco difícil. Pudimos utilizar el libro de Sibler para poder trabajar y adaptarnos a eso. Ese era un libro que yo no conocía y que pude trabajar con él y utilizarlo. Aparte de ese entrenamiento que ellos te dan la oportunidad de que conozca las aves y que conozca todos los procesos para un anillador, hay que hacer trabajos voluntarios. Hay que limpiar playa, hay que hacer monitoreos de otras especies, eh, hay que pintar, hay que recoger basura, hay que organizar, hay que hacer su propio almuerzo. Son muchísimas cosas. Y eso llena a uno de satisfacción porque uno está como haciendo algo útil para un sitio tan importante para la conservación de las aves como es ese lugar ahí en Long Point. Aquí también hacíamos algunos monitoreos nocturnos y hacíamos recorrido en la playa para ver algunos daños que son causados por las personas o que vienen de otros sitios, basuras y cosas así. Importante también la relación que uno puede tener con gente de otras partes del mundo, estudiosos de las aves o personas que son aficionados y que uno a partir de ahí tiene como un contacto y una relación con gente de diferentes partes del mundo. Todos voluntarios y aficionados y amantes de las aves. Eso es muy importante en ese entrenamiento que se da en Long Point. Pude participar apoyando cada día durante 3 semanas un monitoreo que se hace de mariposas monarcas, que ese es un sitio de migración, y cada día pudimos hacer los censos, pero había un día pico donde pudimos contar hasta 3,000 mariposas y al otro día una. O sea que son como de paso que llegan ahí. También hay otras especies como tortugas, algunas serpientes, mapache, y se hacía como un monitoreo de todo cada día. Y eso también es importante. Eso es parte del trabajo que se hace ahí en la estación. Ya para este año, en el 2023, estuvimos un entrenamiento en Jarabacoa de una semana, de 4 o 5 días. Pero antes de eso estuve practicando una semana completa con Holly para seguir practicando y tener más habilidades con los anillamientos de aves, con las mudas, con los límites de muda, con la grasa, para poder identificar más la hembra del macho y los juveniles de los adultos. Es una práctica que yo pienso que me ayudó muchísimo a mí eh, para poder seguir creciendo como un anillador. Eh, Ese taller de BirdsCaribbean en Jarabacoa fue sumamente importante. Importante porque habían gente con vasta experiencia como anilladores y habían gentes nuevas que nunca habían tenido un ave en su mano. Y son talleres que son de sumamente importante para esa nueva generación que se está interesando por la ciencia con las aves. Creo que República Dominicana es una de las islas que tiene menos gente que en la actualidad está haciendo trabajo de ciencia con aves. Y con ese taller yo creo que podemos tener nuevos jóvenes que se sumen y apoyen el estudio científico de las aves. Hay que seguir trabajando porque son nuevos, pero yo creo que sí que se puede avanzar un poco más. Aquí tenemos algunas de las aves que pudimos anillar en el taller de Jarabacoa, algunas que son migratorias y otras que son endémicas. Aquí vemos las personas, un taller bien participativo, donde todo el mundo aprendió de todo el mundo y habían varios maestros y lo más importante ahí en ese taller es que se aprende practicando cómo tratar un ave para que el ave no sufra, para que el ave esté cómoda en las manos y cómo se anilla y todo eso. Y nos ayudamos entre todos, que es lo más lindo que tienen esos talleres que imparte BirdsCaribbean en el Caribe. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Hector. All right. So again, if you have questions for Hector or Dayami, please put them in the Q&A or on Facebook. Our next presenter is Zoya Buckmire. Zoya is a conservation biologist with a passion for all things nature, but especially mangroves and birds. Born and raised in Grenada, she has been involved in bird monitoring efforts throughout the country, primarily with the Grenada Fund for Conservation. Zoya is currently based in Anguilla, but looks forward to returning to Grenada and continuing this important work with banding as an additional tool for bird conservation. And Zoya, I think you're...
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm just having a slight issue sharing right now because I got bumped off.
Let us know if you need us to do anything.
Yeah, we can share for you, Zoya, if that's easier.
No, I can't put on my camera either.
Okay, hold on. Let me fix that.
Okay.
Should work now.
Yes. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, great.
Yes, we
Great.
can.
Good afternoon. I'm going to present a bit, as Maya said, about banding in Grenada, a bit of a recap and some of my plans for the future. So, hola a todos, soy Zoya de Grenada y voy a presentar un poquito de mi trabajo con animamiento en Grenada y mis planes para el futuro y cómo quiero usar animamiento para conservar las aves. But I'm going to present in English. So just to point out, this pair in this first picture is a pair of lesser Antillean tanagers, which are endemic to the Southern Caribbean. So they're endemic to the Grenada Bank, Grenada and St. Vincent. And as you can see, there's some really cool sexual dimorphism between the males and the females. It's really subtle, but the females are more green and brown and the males are very like golden. In the hand, they shimmer and they're absolutely beautiful. So for anyone who doesn't know, Grenada is located right there in the Southern Caribbean. We're a very small island nation with about three inhabited and several more uninhabited islands. But I'm currently based somewhere much further away. Sorry about that. So to talk about my history and Grenada's history with banding, there's, other than some really preliminary surveys that had been done in the 80s or much earlier, the only lab, to my knowledge, that has been banding in Grenada was the Cooper lab at the University of Manitoba, which banded between 2015 and 2019. They took a break because of COVID, and then they were able to come back this year, in 2023 to band again. And so my first exposure to banding was with this lab when they were coming every year, coming very often, and I was able to volunteer, help them out, observe. And here's a picture of me releasing my first ever bird in 2017, and this is also a lesser Antillean tanager. So that was a really cool full cycle moment for me to be able to catch one this year. So 6 years ago, I got my first hands-on experience with banding or experiencing banding, and that obviously inspired something in me to stick with this field and to want to learn more. And here I am, all these years later, part of the Caribbean Bird Banding Network and a certified bander myself. So some of the outcomes from banding so far, this is all work that has come out of the Cooper lab. One of the really cool things is that we have our own subspecies of house wren, which was discovered through research done by Kim Watson, the person in this picture here. She did her master's on the house wrens in Grenada, comparing their morphology and their song to other populations on other islands and on mainland. And they were able to discover basically that our house wrens are bigger, they're browner, they sound different, they look different, and they're just unique enough to be considered their own subspecies. We're still working on getting them declared our own species, Grenadensis, but in the meantime, that's one of the really cool outcomes of banding. Another cool outcome is that we now have some life history information about one of our endemic species. So this is a Grenada flycatcher, another endemic to the Southern Caribbean, Grenada and St. Vincent. And this individual I spotted and photographed in 2018. And as you can see, she has a color band. Because of that color band, I was able to report this as a resighting, and we got information that she was banded in 2015, which tells us something that we never knew before about this bird. This individual was at least 3 years old because she'd been banded 3 years prior. And also, as you can see, she has nest material in her mouth. So we learned that they can breed as early as February. So that's information that we're constantly collecting based on resightings and recaptures, information that we just simply do not have because this is an endemic species and is completely understudied. We've also been using banding as a tool for outreach, which I think is really important because as you can see, as you saw from the photo of myself 6 years ago, banding can really spark something in you and inspire you to go down a field that you never would have considered otherwise. And I think it's really important to get young people especially involved and hands-on. Seeing birds up close and personal kind of makes them real, and it makes people think more about their relationship with the environment. And so the Cooper Lab has used banding as outreach through a big bird festival that they do every year that they're in Grenada, and that I was able to help out with this year And here I am showing a group of school children between the ages of like 8 and 10, an Antillean crested hummingbird, which is the smallest bird we have on the island, and it was really, really cool. So this year, the Cooper Lab visited Grenada for their field course in February to March, and we were able to band. I banded with them for 3 days. And this is some of our coolest or quote unquote best captures. Of course, all birds are cool. Just being able to work with birds up close and personal is an incredible privilege. But if I had to choose my favorite, these are some of them. So on the left, we have a black-faced grasslet that was recaptured from 2019. So this little guy is at least 5 years old, which I think is incredible. We also have a bananaquit on the right. And for those of you who don't know, Grenada and St. Vincent have a subspecies of the bananaquit, our most beloved Caribbean bird that's found everywhere, except Cuba, that is completely black. So we have a melanistic subspecies, and they're black, but actually they're yellow with just a coating of black over that. So in this individual that I got a picture of, you can see a bit of his yellow showing through in the face underneath the black. So that was really cool. And then a particularly cool thing that happened this year and happened almost completely by accident is that we caught and banded a palm tanager, which is a South American species, South American Trinidad and Grenada. Because of our very southerly location, we tend to get a few vagrants and a few just like really small populations of South American birds. And so we caught this palm tanager and I was able to band it, which was really cool. And it is the first one ever banded in Grenada. Possibly, I've not checked this, so don't quote me, but possibly also the first ever banded in the Caribbean, because it's not a Caribbean bird per se. So the fact that we were able to see them and see enough of them and catch them in Grenada was really, really cool. And tells us a lot about their population and where this species is occurring. So to cover a bit about my experiences with the Caribbean Bird Banding Network, and to get into this, I just want to, of course, say thank you to Maya and Holly for spearheading this, for Lisa and Adrian and everyone else who's involved in the network for making this happen, not just the Bird Banding Network, but the Land Bird Monitoring Network as a whole, because I personally have had so many amazing experiences and I've learned so much, but just the community that we've created around using these different tools for bird monitoring has been amazing. And so I'm going to talk just about a few of the things that I have been fortunate to do as part of this network. So the first, of course, was the bird banding workshop last year. So the first banding workshop under this network was held in the Bahamas in 2022. And here's a few pictures of it. We learned a lot. And prior to this, I had witnessed banding. I'd processed a few birds. I'd banded a few birds, but I didn't know a thing about molt. If you asked me what molt was, I'm not sure I could have even defined it. And I left this workshop with an inkling, just a beginning of an understanding of what molt was, but that was really instrumental because molt is fundamental to everything that we do in terms of aging and sexing birds, and you need to understand these basic concepts. So I got to start to grasp those basic concepts as well as be exposed to a lot of species that I'd never seen before. So this is a red-legged thrush, or a zorzal, or a chwachwa, depending on which island you're from. And it was really cool to see because we have different species of thrushes in the Southern Caribbean. I also saw Caribbean doves for the first time, which are the closest relative of the Grenada dove or endemic dove in Grenada, which I'd never seen before. So I got exposed to a lot of different species, and that's one additional benefit of being able to travel throughout the region as part of this network. As a follow-up to that, like Hector, I also did a banding internship, and my internship took me to Southern Oregon with the Klamath Bird Observatory. I was there for 3 months, and it was not the easiest of things. It was very physically taxing. It was very long hours and tiring days, but we learned a lot. I met some amazing people, some of who are in this webinar watching right now, so hi. And at the end of it, we all got certified. Our entire crew of 6 interns got certified as banders and or trainers, which was really amazing because the NABC certification process is evolving, and I think that they're adjusting to the ways that people learn and being more inclusive in their testing process. and KBO was piloting a programmatic certification process where instead of one big exam at the end, or in addition to one big exam at the end, you have continuous evaluation and you learn as you go and you're evaluated as you go. And that was really instrumental for me personally in passing this exam and getting my certification, because I was confident that if I got something wrong, that wasn't the end for me. I still had an opportunity to learn from it and incorporate it and to keep learning. So we all got certified, which is really, really cool. And then this year we had another bird banding workshop, which Dami and Hector have already mentioned, in Jarabacoa in March. And I learned so much as well. Saw a bunch more species that I would never see at home, such as this endemic black crown palm tanager that you see me banding on the right here, matching the tanager on my shirt. And Daniela and I, who is in the picture in the left and is our next presenter, also got to act as assistants for the workshop, which was really amazing because not only did I get to learn so much from everyone, but I got to help in the teaching process. As an assistant for the workshop, I presented on my work in Grenada, a presentation very similar to this one. And I also co-led with Daniela a bilingual study group for some of the beginner banders, just to make sure that they were keeping up. At the end of each day, we went over what we learned and we did practice sessions so that we could use Pile, we could learn about the different birds. And it also helped Daniela and I practice our respective languages. I practiced Spanish, she practiced English, of course. And it was really great to learn from everybody, but also be a part of the teaching process, because you learn by teaching as well. So what's next for banding in Grenada? Just very briefly, I'm hoping to combine bird banding with our ongoing koala surveys, which we're doing with a small grant from BirdsCaribbean, into a Grenada land bird monitoring program, which going forward will just be this overarching program of bird monitoring and bird surveys that incorporates these two tools and more tools as they become available, hopefully MOTAS in the future, so that we're able to just get a good grasp of what species are there and get the information that we need to better conserve those species. So my objectives are what you would expect: to get baseline information about our birds and their demographics, and especially look not just at resident birds, but also migratory birds, and see how that composition changes from year to year. So some of those same objectives in Spanish, if anyone wants to read very quickly. And banding is all about the network. So it's a bit of a pun in Spanish because it depends on la red, which is the network and the net, because of course you need very good nets to be banding. But it's all about the network. These are all people and organizations that have directly supported me and that helped me in my banding journey, but also indirectly all of BirdsCaribbean's funders and supporters, everyone here who's watching this webinar, everyone who's going to participate in our fundraiser, are all contributing indirectly to this banding network. And thank you. We hope that you donate to the fundraiser. We hope that you join a team, that you go out and you bird next week, Saturday, because it's all about this network that we're creating, and it's all about supporting the work that we're all doing. So thank you for listening. That is the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Zoya. Again, if you have any questions for Zoya, we can take some at the end. We do have one more presenter today, so if you are able to stay and hear Daniela's presentation, please do. Daniela actually recorded her presentation, so I'm gonna go ahead and play the recording of her presentation, but she is here with us to take any questions. So to introduce Daniela, so Daniela Ventura del Puerto is a graduate student and teaching assistant at the University of Havana, and has been working with the Bird Ecology group on various projects, particularly the banding station at the National Botanical Garden that includes MODIS tagging and analysis of stable isotopes to explore migratory connectivity of neotropical migrants. She has also done work monitoring water birds on natural wetlands and studying the movement ecology of turkey vultures. She has also helped with the coordination of the Caribbean Endemic Bird Festival, which is going on right now, and the World Migratory Bird Day activities in Cuba. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can play Daniela's presentation.
Hi, everyone.
Maya, we're not hearing anything. You need to not be on mute.
Sorry about that. Hold on just a second. Let me start it over again and I will not mute.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this webinar. I would like to thank Holly, Maya, Lisa, and the whole BirdsCaribbean team for having me here today, so I can share my story as a member of this amazing community of Caribbean banders. Hopefully, more people will get excited about it and will get involved. Also, my young conservationists of the region will become future recipients of the same opportunities I had. I have called this presentation The Journey of Becoming an Owner because, truth be told, it's an unavoidable outcome if you have as teachers our awesome Caribbean trainers, Juan Carlos Fernandez and Holly Gabbard. So following the idea, I thought of structuring this presentation on the fashion of the bird small cycle as a way to show my own transformation into a owner and bounder. For those who may not know, molt is the sequential replacement of feathers in a bird, and this happens annually and in a more or less predictable pattern. The result is that as the bird grows old, it replaces juvenile feathers into adult feathers. So, what cycle am I in right now? I'm extremely fortunate to be a graduate student and teacher trainee at the Ecology group at the University of Havana. I must acknowledge how important it has been for my professional growth the fact that I am standing on the shoulders of two giants, Martin Agosta and Luis Mujica, renowned Cuban bird ecologists. They have cemented the group's prestige and quality regarding research, teaching, and public education, and that reputation has opened me many doors. So, how my banding journey started? Well, I'll have to take you back to 2017 to the BirdsCaribbean International Conference that took place in Cuba. I was barely the hatchling in my juvenile coat of feathers, a sophomore student of biology as my first scientific event in my career. That conference introduced me to the world of ornithological research in the region. I met the best people in the field from the Caribbean and of course Cuba, like the emblematic Cuban naturalist Orlando there in the bottom right photo with me. That was the first time I also learned about bird banding and met Junipers, the victorious of the autumn migration monitoring in Dayamiris, the westernmost tip of Cuba. Well, the Dayamiris was the best place I could think for starting my training. An important stopover migration site with hundreds of birds flying by during the autumn month. I was lucky. I could volunteer there during 3 seasons from 2017 to 2019, each time spending 10 days. Alejandro, one of the best Cuban banders, was my first trainer, and I owe him my loyalty in the form of feathers. He taught me the basics in bird extraction, handling, aging, and variety. As you can see in my face, that's my happy face back then when I banded my first Cuban study. I also had the experience, experienced a fallout, a huge influx of migrants, birds literally falling from the sky and hitting the lighthouse. Guanacabiles is a fantastic place for varieties like the cerulean warbler or the black Rico. Those are some of the cool birds I had the opportunity to learn there. I can thank Alina, Alejandro, and all my mentors for allowing me to have such a bright start in my band. During 2020 and 2021, the COVID pandemic interrupted the banding for Guanacabiles. Fortunately, in 2022, with the onset of the Caribbean Land Bird Monitoring Program, that included the creation of the Caribbean Bird Banding Network, open and promising path for me. I was lucky to be the recipient of first Caribbean scholarship that covered my expenses to participate in the first Caribbean Bird Banding workshop in the Bahamas in March 2022. That was a turning point in my banding career. I was smoking into my first alternate feathers, I can say. The possibility to polish and boost my banding skills and the dream of pursuing a professional path using this research tool seemed no longer unattainable, but reachable. So it was a 5-day intensive workshop where trainees from Camas Bird Observatory and Poligaro mixed practice and theoretical lessons with a strong focus on more theory, WRP code aging system, bird first aid. I definitely became a promoter during this day. We had a daily exercise at the end of each session called plus delta. Every participant highlighted the plus or the most significant part of the day, and the delta involved reflecting on something to be improved on. My overall Bahamas Coast Delta is hard to sum up. I had the chance to bond with all my new friends, expand my collaboration network with my banding skills, and widen my appreciation for other Caribbean cultures. But my biggest delta was that I committed myself. I wanted to test my skills at the North American Urban Council certification exam. And the one thing I didn't expect was that that opportunity was going to happen sooner than I imagined. So that takes me to the second basic note. I was going to undergo a very demanding and challenging process, just like most for the demanding physiological process for birds. The NABC certification test meant that I was going to grow up and change into full adult feathers and became a grown-up bander. So in November 2022, the Caribbean Biological Corridor directed the Caribbean partner to host the first banding workshop in Cuba and NABC certification. I won't go into details too much for sake reasons. I encourage you to read an upcoming blog article that's popping up in the Caribbean website very soon. So the highlights, I banded lots of full endemics like Cuban Cholon and of course Ito, this gorgeous freaking black-footed blue warbler, the first bird ever wearing Caribbean bird banding network rings. I was extremely lucky and honored to hold the first Caribbean band ever. And of course, the NABC exam, a very challenging exam that demanded us from the demand us study and go to fire at night, long after the other workshop participants had gone to bed. So the final days of the workshop were we made the written and the practical exams that evaluated our ability to successfully run a banding protocol and with high bird safety standards. My friend from Venezuela, Marquez, and I were very proud that at the end we successfully passed it and become one of the first Canadian, become two of the first Canadian certified banders. I contact an first Canadian and the biological, the Caribbean Biological Corridor and our excellent trainers, Oli and Lindsay, supported us and trusted us. With the NABC bander certification and my first type of first Caribbean rings, I was in my definite basic skills. It meant that my dream of managing my own banding station passed from being a dream to a reality. And of course, I owe that also to my mentors in the Ecology group, and to the fact that they have been working at the National Botanical Garden for more than 30 years, and they have made a reputation there. We also have the support from the collaborative project with Dr. Keith Hobson from Environmental and Climate Change Canada, and other individuals and organizations like the Organization from the Bird Banding Lab, and the Institute of Bird Populations that have been crucial in getting us banding supplies. All this support means that we have already a running banding station with four more that are already history. We started on January this year. We have banded 3 days every month. Like you see here on the map, this Havana station fills in a gap of the banding efforts taking place right now in Cuba. So far, we have had pretty well results with 104 banded birds from 22 species. That opens the door for very cool research about our resident species, natural history, for too long neglected. And also, there were winter in Ecology of North American mines. In 2022, we made a pilot survey to select sites, and we banded approximately 30 birds, and 3 of those birds have been recaptured this year. A very exciting and promising result for our brand new station. And of course, that being a definitive basic owl doesn't mean the journey has ended. Every year, birds have to replace and update their plumage to meet life's triggers. And likewise, we as banders have to continue updating and polishing our skills. So last March, I attended the second Caribbean Bird Banding workshop in the Dominican Republic. I am grateful to BirdsCaribbean for this opportunity to meet more awesome Caribbean nationals doing excellent conservation work. I also had the chance to marvel at some stunning endemics like the national bird, the palm shark, who at my faith says it all. But the best of the Dominican experience was the opportunity to participate as an assistant, helping with the organization and logistics, but also taking turns with Zoya, the Caribbean bander, and the trainers to test my teaching skills at the banding table, working with beginners. We did a lot of file and mold study sessions in the evening with the most enthusiastic workshop participants. This relates, of course, to my future mold cycles or next steps in my banding journey. I would love to prepare for the next trainer level certification because it will allow me to fulfill a lot of my dreams to contribute and help expand the Caribbean Bird Banding network, and that necessarily is related to building more capacity among Caribbean nationals. My banding station in Havana with my amazing undergrad students and volunteers is a continual source of inspiration, and I owe them to be the best teacher I could possibly become. So in plans, there is also the opportunity of an internship, also sponsored by BirdsCaribbean, at a banding station abroad that will contribute to polishing my skill and aiming for this external certification. But that has proved difficult so far given the limitation and restrictions Cubans have for access to visas to the US and Canada. Hopefully, we will make it happen this year in Latin America. And of course, the exciting prospect of having the first Northeast antenna in Cuba at the same spot of our banding station, combining data from traditional banding techniques together with study telemetry opens very exciting doors for the future of bird movement and ecology in Cuba and of course the Caribbean. As mentioned before I end this talk, I would love to encourage you to join BirdsCaribbean Global Big Days Direction, and while doing so, you'll be helping us to use our Caribbean Bird Banding network. Join a team. I especially recommend the Warbird Warriors team dedicated to Centro, the first bird in BirdsCaribbean rings. Let's go birding together next May 13, and you can also support us with your generous donations or sharing our fundraising page with family and friends. This way, you'll be contributing so to more Caribbean nationals can have these experiences I've shared with you today. So make a gift and become a life changer. Thank you so much for your attention.
All right. Well, thank you, Daniela. Oh, all of our panelists, please come back.
That was awesome, Daniela. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions or comments for our speakers? Yeah, they all did a great job. We're so proud of all of them and how much they have achieved in a very short time, becoming really proficient and leaders in their own countries and banding away, and really incredible. Thanks for the nice comments, everybody.
Any questions from anyone?
Let's see.
You guys all covered everything so thoroughly.
Yeah, if you would like to learn more about the Bird Banding Network and stay in touch with us, you could sign up for our listserv, and let me get that link for you. And if you're not already on our mailing list, you should definitely get on our mailing list to get our monthly newsletter. The next edition is coming out very soon. So this is for our monthly newsletter. And let's see, let me get the link for our listserv. Maybe Maya and Holly, put your contact information in the chat.
Feel free to email any questions or suggestions.
Yep. And if you want to ask questions afterward, you could also post them on Facebook and we'll monitor that and try to answer them there as well. And thank you so much to Adrian for the fantastic translation. That was super helpful.
Not easy.
She's becoming a professional.
That's right.
All right, well, I think we can sign off then. Thanks again to everybody for your awesome presentations. I hope we'll see lots of people signing up for Global Big Day and supporting, join one of the teams. There's lots of teams to choose from. There's some country teams. So like if you're from the Dominican Republic, you want to support a DR team, go for that. There's the Warbling Warriors, and don't forget the Flying Pintails and the Badass Bob Whites. Plenty of cool teams to join, and it's going to be fun to bird virtually together. We're going to have a trip report set up on eBird so that everybody that's on a team will share their checklist with the eBird team username. And during Global Big Day next Saturday, you'll see the sightings, everybody's checklists being added to the page live on the trip report page. So while you're out birding, you can check the trip report and see where all the checklists are coming from and how many you have. So that will be a lot of fun. And yes, the Globetrotting Toadies, go Toadies. Lots of great team options. So be sure to sign up to bird with us on one of those teams. If you can, please make a donation. That would be so much appreciated. It will help us to continue supporting all of our awesome partners that are in country, to have more training opportunities. It will allow us to purchase bands to distribute to the whole network, and keep this incredible community going strong. So, all right, thanks again, everybody, and we shall see you soon and for Global Big Day next Saturday. Take care.
Thank you all again.
Bye-bye.
Bye, nice seeing you. Hasta pronto.
Nice to see everybody. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.